Animation. Of course, everybody gets the gist of that. Cartoons. Really, anything that requires a cartoon nowadays is classified as animation. We're seeing more animation than ever before, thanks to digital technology, thanks to graphics, thanks to CG, all this crazy nonsense that's going on in the art world. Again, it's just...
And video games.
Oh, God, yes. Video games are just a huge, huge consumer right now for the voice community. The neat thing is that animation isn't, again, what it used to be. It's not cut and dry. You know, it used to just be cartoons. You had a contract with Disney, you had a contract with Warner Brothers, that's it. That's what you did to make money. Now, you can voice animated little vectors and icons and, you know, emoticons for anything from websites to CD-ROM programs to interactive learning type applications. I mean, pretty much, again, you name it. It's just a wide open playing field. Character work kind of falls into the same lines. I think it's commonly misconstrued that character is animation. It's not. Basically, any form of voiceover that I'm talking about tonight can require a character. It may not, but it can. That's what matters. So you can have a character performance within a commercial, in a narration, in an industrial, again, anywhere, anything. So people that are really well versed with that sort of performance, again, have a very broad area in which they can...
What do you mean by character?
Like a silly voice.
Well, you know, it's an interesting conundrum because we have to get into two areas with that. There's the technical definition, and then there's the performance aspects. Technically speaking, from an acting perspective, let's be realistic, anything's a character. Everything's a character. As long as you're playing a role that isn't you personally, you're a character. Yeah, that's true. But for voice, very specifically, when people talk about characters, they're really honing in on things that are quirky, things that are odd, things that are bizarre, voices that either A, don't sound quote-unquote normal, or voices that really tend to cut through, reach out, and grab us for whatever reason. Voice actors are chosen for one of two main reasons. Either because A, your natural everyday speaking voice classifies you as a character. It's so quirky and what you do is so unique that, boom, you're a character whether you want to be or not. It's not optional. And then you have situations where you have folks who are naturally gifted with an incredible sort of chameleon-like set of vocal cords, and they can manipulate themselves to be any number of sounds or ideas. The best of the best in this business has typically anywhere from 50 to 100 different voices living inside of them. Yeah, it's sort of a form of schizophrenia, really. It's a wee bit of a mental disorder. The average talent, myself included in this category, probably has about 4 or 5 characters that they do really well. These are their mainstays.
Can we hear one?
Yeah, on the spot? I need to hold on now. Nobody told me I was ad-libbing.
Remember, the camera's rolling.
Well, you can't say no.
Yeah, you can say no.
If I think of something later, I'll let something fly. We'll see what happens.
All right.
So Chris, he's got to do one first.
No.
Here's the thing, and I mean, this is what I mean where I say there's only a handful for most of us. You know what your goofy voices are. You already know it. Nobody has to tell you. Nobody's going to put you on mic to prove it to you. You know this. If you have pets, if you have children, if you have a significant other, oh, there it is. If you have a significant other, you've done this. You have some goofy, freaky voice that you use that is reserved for this specific area of your life. The key is to let all that go, let the embarrassment go, and bring it into a public setting. When you do that, it can be extremely successful because you know those characters, you know those voices, and more importantly, They're your own. They're not impressions, they're not impersonations, it's not you trying to be someone else, it's you creating this character. And it could be modeled after someone in your life, it could be just, you might have some crazy uncle that you make fun of every Thanksgiving when the family's together because he's so wacky. It counts. He's original, therefore this voice, this character you've made is original. And that's what the industry loves to see. They love new ideas like that. They love those opportunities. And that's really where the money is in characters, is when you can create something that's original, that you become known for, that people go back to you for time and time again. The folks who do the vocal gymnastics and can accomplish all those crazy amounts of sounds, they're very, very rare. So the expectation is not that you be capable of doing that. If you can, that's fantastic, but those folks really are 1 in a million. Typically, they're guys like, there's a gentleman named Bob Bergen. He is the modern day voice of Porky Pig. He has a contract with Warner Brothers. He has been in hundreds of animated features. To give you an idea, this is how skilled someone like Bob is. Is everybody familiar with the movie WALL-E?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember how in WALL-E the people very rarely spoke? The people just sort of did their thing. I mean, there really wasn't a lot of talking in WALL-E. There was a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Bob was the voice of every single person in WALL-E.
Including females? Oh my, I have to watch
That's how skilled you're talking about. Because from the production company's standpoint and from the movie maker's standpoint, why do we want to pay to bring in 50 people when we can bring in one guy and kick his ass for 2 weeks and have him just go nuts on mic?
Freaking producers.
Yeah, I know the downsizing. But again, those guys are really, really rare. And they gain a certain amount of notoriety for what they do. The rest of us just stick to that core handful that become our mainstay. Characters are a ton of fun, and if you can stay away from the really crappy uses of them, and if you can stay away from the stuff that's prone to being made fun of and can actually hurt you rather than help you, you're in pretty good shape. What do I mean by that is pretty simple. We've all heard it. The really bad impressions on the radio. The horrible, everybody and their brother thinks they can do Bill Clinton.
Get down.
Yeah.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger, yeah.
The dead celebrities. Certainly, my own personal gripe is people who think they can do characters. Everyone does Yoda. Everyone. Get over it. If Henson Studios hasn't come knocking on your door yet to find you to do Yoda, it's not going to happen. And the main reason why is because characters like that, things like the Jim Henson, pantheon, the Warner Brothers lineup, the Disney movies, these characters that we've grown up with, that we've known our whole lives. Here's the thing, those studios ensure that even if the character isn't valid right now, even if the character isn't in use for anything, they have an actor. Porky Pig has not starred in a Warner Brothers feature film in close to 12 years. Bob is still under contract to be Porky, even though there's no use for him right now. He's paid to be in a holding tank somewhere.
Paid to do nothing?
Kinda. In some way, yes.
So he's on retainer like a lawyer?
Yeah, and there may very well be, keep in mind, there's royalties that go along with that, and that's part of that contract, but there may be the toy, or there may be the occasional usage for him. A couple years back, I don't know if everybody remembers this, there was I think Verizon Wireless, there was a cell phone company that did a bit with Porky Pig, and that was his first time playing Porky, and I don't know how many years. He was so excited. He was like, Porky's resurrected! It was ridiculous. But again, there's always that holding tank. I can't remember the last time there was a Jim Henson anything where the Muppets had a real, speaking part usage. All those actors are still already in place. And so we've got to sort of walk away from this notion that they're going to find us, or, we're going to get those roles. It's pretty unlikely. And it's not to say you shouldn't work at them, it's not to say you shouldn't develop them if you really have a passion for it, but you've just got to know that you're going to literally have to be so good that you can beat out not only the guy who has the contract right now, but his 3 understudies who are literally the backups that the network has already contracted as well. Bob has 3 understudies. God forbid Porky goes down. There's 3 other people that do the voice just about as well as he does who can step into his shoes. So you've got 4 folks usually that you've got to be able to beat out to get in line for those kinds of positions. It doesn't happen overnight. So just keep that in mind.